Castillón Confidencial, by Albert Castillón.
Welcome, how are you, Confidentials? Thank you for being there. Strength, honor, and you've made it through the eclipse. It's true, there are few that look as good as this one. Today we have to return to harsh reality. It's curious that an eclipse or a World Cup final can bring together so many millions of people in unison. And other things, well, not so much, right? Like saving a country or defending a homeland. But this is an analysis we'll have to do in September. Right now, it might be too soon. Thank you for being there. Strength, honor, and let's move forward with the information. Look, while we were looking at the sky, they stole the 2030 World Cup final from us. It's curious because many thought that after winning the last World Cup, Spain already had the 2030 World Cup final secured at the Santiago Bernabeu, which was also unveiling a new stadium. But Casablanca gets it, as we mentioned here. And anyone who knows about the relationship between Spain and Morocco, it's very easy to know here who's in charge. Although it's curious because Morocco wasn't even one of the countries organizing the World Cup, and it ends up getting the main match, the final. Spain and Portugal were organizing this World Cup. It seems we've forgotten that. In 2018, negotiations began between Rubiales, who was then the president of the federation, and the Moroccan ambassador in Spain. And the objective has published messages between the two, in which he already makes a promise, Rubiales. In 2018, Sánchez had just arrived at Moncloa. Rubiales promises the ambassador that the final will be held in Morocco. What could Morocco have given Rubiales, right, for him to be so generous? What did Rubiales do? He called Sánchez, whom he was very good friends with at the time. And Sánchez told him, yes, go ahead. Of course, it was 2018. They hadn't spied on him with Pegasus yet. Starting in 2021, it's not just that he gave him the World Cup final. It's that Sánchez also paid for it. And therefore, you and I did too. The final in Casablanca will have infrastructure largely paid for out of your pocket and your taxes. For example, 340 million euros are being used to build, and it's already underway, a large desalination plant in Casablanca, so there will be enough water to meet the needs of the World Cup final. 340 million paid by Spain, and the desalination plant will be ready in 2028. But that's not all. Spain is also contributing 190 million to finance 2 tram lines inside Casablanca. Spanish companies were supposed to do it, but in the end a French company is doing it, yet Spain's support still remains. The Casablanca tramway is so that transportation in the city during the World Cup final will be more comfortable. And also 754 million more to buy 40 intercity trains and improve Morocco's communications. We went from inviting Morocco in 2018 as a friendly gesture due to Rubiales' interests to paying for their World Cup and having it stolen from us right in front of our faces because of the Pegasus blackmail. And all of this with the collaboration of Infantino, gentlemen, the president of FIFA. This man of Italian origin who was born in Switzerland, who is 66 years old, and who came to FIFA to fix the mess left by the corrupt previous presidents. He found it to be a nest of corruption and with a deficit of 550 million. And it's true that in just a few years, FIFA is overflowing with money. They say that their income this year will reach 13 billion in the black. And of course, he wants a part of that money. Infantino, for example, came up with the hydration breaks in the last World Cup that Spain won. Don't think it was to prevent heat strokes for the players, right? Here, when necessary, the World Cup is held in Qatar, and even if it's 50 degrees, right? That was invented to have more space, to put up ads, and for FIFA to keep making even more money. Maybe the worst part is when he tried to sell FIFA shares, to privatize FIFA. He prepared a plan in which FIFA would sell assets to private investors, and he would remain president, but with a much higher salary than he has now. He set himself a salary of $64 million a year. Yes, 64. Luckily, this project didn't go through, and in fact, it's on shaky ground. Infantino today is synonymous with shady deals, corruption, and trying to stage a self-coup to take over the institution. And he has also broken another record. World Cup tickets have never been as expensive as they were in the last edition. Everything increases, especially his income. And wherever the money is, that's where the World Cup final will be. This scene you are watching made headlines around the world. Seeing Infantino almost kneeling, kissing the ground that Mohammed VI walks on was a clear sign that the final was going to be in Casablanca. The Times published it last week, and it seems that only the details and the signature are missing for it to become official. Look, the worst part is that Spain didn't even ask to host the World Cup. Sanchez didn't even make the gesture or post a tweet saying, "We want to host the World Cup final that Spain is organizing." No, he has never done it, so as not to upset the one who gives him orders, the Sultan of Morocco. Infantino, who is going through a rough patch, offers Morocco the World Cup final in exchange for all the African federations supporting Infantino so he can stay in office. And so this cycle continues, where many become millionaires and others watch as their chance to be the center of the world for a few days is stolen from them. It could have been Madrid or Barcelona, but alleged blackmail through Pegasus is going to prevent it. Yes, gentlemen, there is a very Spanish expression that perfectly describes the role of the Spanish government in all of this. We are Morocco's simp. Welcome, we investigate.
Yes. Castillón Confidencial, by Albert Castillón.
Gentlemen, this cat and mouse game, where Spain always ends up being the mouse between Morocco and our country, is no coincidence. It's part of an old plan with decades and years of history. We've told you about it here. It's been called the Morocco Reconquest Plan 2030. It's had many names. What is beyond doubt is that Morocco has an agenda that involves taking part of Spain, even though historically there is no reason to do so. But they already did it with Western Sahara, which was just another Spanish province, and it worked out well for them. What is that final plan? What does Morocco intend to do with our country? And it seems like it's only a few years away. There is a very active person on social media. He is Sahrawi, and today he is with us to tell us much more. Ahmed Baba, how are you? Welcome.
Hello, Albert. Thanks for inviting me, and greetings to your followers.
Thank you very much. Is there really such a plan to take over Ceuta, Melilla, the Canary Islands, and who knows if something else?
Of course, keep in mind that in the case of Ceuta and Melilla, there's a lot of talk now because of this latest invasion. But the issue with Ceuta and Melilla goes back much further, not just to the invasion Morocco organized in 2021. It started earlier. There was an event that happened in November 2018 that almost went unnoticed by Spanish public opinion. Unfortunately, Ceuta and Melilla only make the news when there are invasions. But when Morocco is playing that daily game of bullying and harassment, it doesn't make the news. In November 2018, Morocco unilaterally, without notifying Spain and without reaching an agreement with Spain, closed the customs offices of Ceuta and Melilla. The customs offices are very important because 70% of the trade in Ceuta and Melilla is with the neighboring Moroccan areas due to geographic reasons. Basically, what Morocco achieved was to cripple trade economically, all the trade and all the movement of workers. And just so you get an idea, since that date, no Moroccan or Ceuta citizen can go into Moroccan territory, not even with a bottle of water. They absolutely don't allow you to go out and buy anything in Ceuta and take it to Morocco. This caused a lot of harm because it forced, let's say, both cities to depend almost 100% on mainland Spain. This is part of a strategy to gradually strangle and squeeze the economy of these two cities, so that over time, they are forced to become dependent on the state's budget. Little by little, wearing down the patience of whoever is in government so that in the future they can negotiate supposed co-sovereignty, which is what Morocco wants, as a preliminary step to eventually annexing them. They have always proposed co-sovereignty or shared sovereignty. So the Spanish government didn't react when they did it. They let Morocco get away with the customs issue. And the next step was the 2021 invasion. But in between, in 2020, something quite curious happened that isn't very important, but is quite symbolic for the Moroccans. In 2020, the Moroccan government, along with a group of Moroccan internet users, organized a campaign to force Google to change the solid line that separated Ceuta and Melilla from Morocco, to change it and put a dotted line instead. Dotted lines are usually used when the territory is disputed. For example, anyone who goes on Google can see that the dotted line is in Western Sahara, in the Palestinian territories, in Crimea, and suddenly it appeared in Ceuta and Melilla. Why? Because the Moroccans did it. I find it funny because we discussed the issue back then, but in Spain, no one paid attention, reacted, or contacted Google. That happened. Then we got to 2021. In the invasion that the Moroccans planned in May 2021, we have to remember something that is always mentioned in the press when they talk about that invasion of 12,000 Moroccans who entered in practically 24 hours. In the press, it's always said that the responsibility or the reason for that invasion was hosting Ibrahim Ghali, the leader of the Polisario Front and Sahrawi president. It must be said that this was the excuse Morocco used, not the real reason behind that invasion. In other words, the Moroccans would have looked for any other pretext, any other excuse, because they already had it prepared. The reason for that invasion was to pressure and blackmail the Spanish government to change its position on Western Sahara. Hosting Ibrahim Ghali was the excuse they needed to do it, because if Ibrahim Ghali hadn't come, they would have done it using some other excuse, a visit from a minister to Ceuta or a secretary of state or anything else.
The excuse that means the next day Sánchez visit to the area and the Pegasus spyware attack on his mobile phone. Maybe they also did it to act that way and be able to spy on the Spanish government, right?
In fact, yes. Actually, the whole Pegasus issue, the tapping of Sanchez's phone and half the government, we have to acknowledge that it was there. We have to remember that Margarita Robles' phone, Marlaska's, the Minister of Agriculture Planas, and some others we don't know about were also involved. We have to remember one thing. The very next day after Ibrahim Ghali left Spain, there was an interview given by the Moroccan foreign minister on a French radio station that practically no one talked about or commented on. The journalist asked him, now that Ibrahim Ghali has left Spain, are you going to restore your relations with Spain? And the Moroccan foreign minister replied to her, he said, no, not until Spain clarifies its position on Western Sahara. And the journalist asked him again, she said, but wasn't the reason Spain taking in Ibrahim Ghali? He said, no, the reason is Spain's position on Western Sahara. In other words, Ghali was just the excuse they needed. I find it incredible that some media use taking in Ibrahim Ghali as if it were the trigger for everything, when in reality, it was just the excuse. If he hadn't come, they would have done it with someone else for another reason. And that, moreover, helped the Moroccans test to see what the reaction would be, first from Ceuta, from the people of Ceuta, from the authorities of Ceuta, from the Spanish authorities, the reaction of the army, the international reaction. It should be remembered that a few months later, the European Parliament condemned Morocco in a resolution for using migrant minors against Spain. Of course, that condemnation simply ended up in a file because the European Commission did not take any action against Morocco. On the contrary, they subsidized all kinds of projects for them, gave them interest-free loans, basically all kinds of aid, as if they were rewarding them, right?
Yeah, but Ahmed, even before the Pegasus hacking, we were already obedient, our government, and others from the Popular Party too, were already bowing their heads. We haven't let the king set foot in Ceuta or Melilla even once, not as a prince, not as a king. I don't even need to tell you about the situation after Pegasus, right?
Yes, Pegasus. It's total.
You know,
Yes, Pegasus was.
let me ask you, do you know what they found on Marlaska or Sanchez? So that now they're simply obedient slaves to the Moroccan regime?
Well, we know it was from the phone because Felix Bolaños admitted it, the one who was the government spokesperson at a press conference, which was unheard of for a government to admit it was spied on. Normally, these things aren't admitted, but he admitted it. He admitted it himself. And he also gave a rather curious detail, which is that 2.6 gigabytes of data were stolen from Sanchez's phone. 2.6, that's a lot. That's a lot. We don't know what it is. It could be recordings, documents, conversations. The Pegasus system has the ability to record, to take pictures, to activate the microphone, to steal documents, to access absolutely everything, WhatsApp and everything. We know nothing because when the National Court began investigating, the government refused to cooperate. Israel's government also refused to cooperate, leaving the National Court with its hands tied. For a while, it was hoped that the French prosecutor's office would send some kind of evidence. Because Pegasus was also used by the Moroccan regime to tap Macron's phone, so the little information provided by the French, that's what the National Court prosecutor's office worked with. And of course, the case is more or less shelved. I'm not sure how much, but until new evidence emerges, it's completely on hold. Because it's in the government's interest.
I've been told that sultans in Morocco must always have a great achievement during their reign. Mohammed V achieved independence from France, Hassan II recovered Western Sahara, and Mohammed VI got the United States to recognize the Sahara as Moroccan territory. Recovering, or rather, recovering something that was never theirs, Ceuta and Melilla, would be the achievement for Hassan III, the son of Mohammed VI.
Of course, that's the plan, and in fact, it's been going on for a while. There was news a few months ago that the King of Morocco gave him a military position. He gave his son, let's say, a series of positions so that little by little, power can gradually be transferred to him. The king already knows, as you know, if he is sick, etc. And there is also a dispute there among different families on the sidelines in what is known as an inner circle to see who stays and who leaves with the new prince, right? And obviously the new prince, along with those around him, are already mapping out and planning that recovery, in quotes, that they always refer to regarding Ceuta and Melilla. And little by little, that's how they've started. That's a project they've always had. It's just true that Mohammed V achieved independence through an agreement with France, the famous Aix-les-Bains agreements. And then his son Hassan II invaded and occupied Western Sahara in 75. Mohammed VI planned to end the Sahrawi struggle and annex, well, all of Western Sahara and get international recognition, etc. And that's what they've been working on since 2020 on that specific project. But I don't think so.
You are very well informed about what is happening in Morocco. They tell me that Hassan III is very close to taking power and that Mohammed VI will leave power due to health reasons. Have you heard the same?
Yes, in fact, that has been planned for some time now, for several years. The king has practically been absent for many years, spending more time outside the country than inside. He wanted to enjoy himself. He was surrounded by a close group of friends, boxers, and so on. And he wanted to live, let's say, his life with all the fortune he had made and move away from power. But I think he was preparing his son and waiting for him to come of age, because now he's 22 or 23 years old, and waiting a bit for him to gradually strengthen his power so he could make the definitive transfer of power to him. I think that's inevitable. We'll see it this year or next year at the latest, because you just have to look at the king. He's completely exhausted, and they have to medicate him to keep him at public events, to keep him standing or sitting. He can barely speak.
There are people who assure me that he has doubles, that he sometimes uses doubles. People who look very similar to him at certain events. Do you know if that's true?
It could be. I'm not surprised. It could be. It could be, because his health is so deteriorated. In fact, from one year to the next, I mean, it's impossible. For example, the events known as the BEA, or the Oath of Allegiance, which is held every year. It's an event that lasts 2 or 3 hours. So for the king to be able to stand for 2 hours is very difficult. And you can see that, well, they probably have someone. And also, since he puts on that djellaba, that hood, it's harder to recognize him, because they're probably using a double for that, not a foreigner.
The timing, some experts I've consulted tell me that the issue with Ceuta and Melilla will be put on hold until after the World Cup. And some tell me it won't. That next year they might try again, and next year is just 6 months from now. When do you think would be the right time to carry out the final invasion? It would all be very peaceful, however you want to put it, but an invasion nonetheless.
You know, this last invasion we didn't expect it. We thought this one was so brutal and so huge, and it has had such an impact. Also, it's been quite negative for the country's image, that we expected this kind of hybrid warfare taken to the extreme after the World Cup. We thought that, well, Morocco, with all the investment it has made for the World Cup, the soccer fields it is building, would leave all this for after the World Cup, give Spain a truce at least until after the World Cup. That's what many of us thought. Even journalists who specialize in Morocco thought this. That this has happened right now is quite strange. It means that they measure time differently, and they're moving faster than we think. And the World Cup, in the end, there are 4 years left, and 4 years is a long time. Probably the king also wants to see an occupation and annexation of Ceuta and Melilla before handing over power to his son for good. That's why he can't wait another 4 years for the World Cup due to his health condition.
And yes, it's a good theory and very likely. Well, I'm afraid we'll keep talking a lot in future interviews, and I always count on your accurate information. Ahmed Baba, a big hug.
Thank you very much, Albert. Hugs to everyone.
Castillón.
We look forward to seeing you at the home of sparkling water, Vichy Catalan.
I received a very warm message from the United States, from Cristobal. He says, "My dear Albert, I follow you every day from here, from America, because I want to hear the real news from Spain. Today I was listening to Recuerdos de la Alhambra and the Concierto de Aranjuez, and in them it seemed to me I could hear Spain's cry over the betrayal of one of her children." Thank you, Albert, for being a great Spaniard and for fighting for our nation. Thank you very much. We have countless Spaniards or non-Spaniards, I don't care, in other parts of the world who are informed about what's happening thanks to us. They don't realize the honor they give us. Well, I have messages. We hear from Estrada, Jose Carlos, Julio, Lydia, and Minerva.
I'm asking you, because we all know that the Bourbons were always the worst for Spain. That's clear to all of us. They were never very smart. But they really don't see where things are going. Are they really so dumb as to bite the hand that feeds them?
Everything they are doing is just making people hate them and want to get rid of them.
And that this is aimed at the Republic, that they're going to lose everything they have, and they're actually helping make it happen.
I think that the harm the government is doing to us right now can't be worse than that whole Pegasus issue of theirs. Anyway, in any case, it's them who will be affected by the content that was taken from their mobile phones. With us Spaniards, at first, I repeat again, I think the harm they are doing to us is much greater than whatever content those phones might have. They are destroying Spain.
We took a few days off, and it turns out that my little girl was, well, we had to take her to the doctor, and we decided to go to the health center. I go to the window, I give the gentleman the health card, and I say, look, good morning, we are here so you can see my daughter, but we are from Madrid. And he says to me, can I have your passport, please? He tells me, yes, the passport, the system is asking me for the passport. What do you mean the system is asking for the passport? First of all, I am Spanish, and we are Spanish. Second, I think I'm in Spain. Third, my daughter is 8 years old. She doesn't have to be identified in any way, not with a passport or an ID. What I want is for a doctor to see my daughter. Do you understand? That's it. That's what I'm asking for. And in Madrid, nobody asks me for my passport when I go to the doctor. This is unheard of. I thought he was joking with me.
On the Notición channel, which is run by a fellow Cuban woman who is in the United States, a Moroccan man appeared, a Moroccan man, demanding that the minors be returned to Morocco, that the parents are desperate, they are in their country, at the border, and that they want to get their children back. And some even say they want all their children back, the real children, of course. So find out a bit more about the topic, because I think this is going to ruin those budget plans they want. With child trafficking, which is what they're doing, child trafficking, besides being disruptors of entire societies,
the image we are giving and the feeling we Spaniards have, at least those of us who are decent, is that the one who governs us is on vacation at the beach, acting like the coast is clear. The king, instead of putting on his uniform and going to Ceuta, is at a regatta, and he arrived at the regatta in a 75,000 euro car. Leticia's consort showed up at the party in a 3,000 euro dress, and it was in the color of the Lauri flag.
Oh, Minerva, you would do so well in the royal household, unlike what we have now. Look, as an example of how things are changing, many Moroccans are getting bolder. Of course, they come and go from Spain whenever they want, without a passport, without papers. Well, why wouldn't they? There is a Spanish rock, the Peñón de Alucemas, which is 700 meters from the coast of Morocco. Every time a Moroccan ship passes by, this happens.
I'm here! We live by the light! My brothers! My brothers!
What do you think? It's like it's already theirs. All that's left is for them to come down, put their flag there, and that's it. Of course, we embolden them. And then try to get them out of there. I want you to listen to Justa, who had a question about the Moroccan children.
I have a question. Did they allocate, or are they going to allocate, 30 million for the care of the unaccompanied minors in Ceuta? And they plan to distribute them throughout the rest of the Spanish provinces? Are they going to distribute the money proportionally to those provinces? Or is the government of Ceuta going to keep it? As payment for what?
Well, exactly. The 25 million are for the government of Ceuta. They are not to be distributed among everyone. And besides, they're so stingy that they don't even give it as a non-repayable grant, like they do with Colombia, the Dominican Republic, or Morocco, right? It's a loan, a treasury loan that the government of Ceuta has to pay back later. But it's to support the people there, those who are in Ceuta. The government of Ceuta keeps it. More messages, Llanos and Mark.
Well, I've been listening to Rubén Pulido saying that maybe nothing will happen on August 15th. And then it made me think that it can be that they're making everything so obvious. So obvious. Now they are all there. The civil war, the police, everyone. Just to make our armed forces and Spain itself look ridiculous. And that's why the government isn't doing anything. Because they know this is like another point for Morocco. Like saying, see, you're just fools and you don't understand anything.
I have two students. One is a former student who comes here to see his brother, and this is his brother, who lives here in Marbella. And the other one lives in Ceuta. He's told me all sorts of things. I mean, all kinds of things are going on over there. There are about 5,000 or 7,000 guys on the beach in the mountains. I guess those are the ones Morocco let go, all those criminals. They're in the mountains, everywhere, lighting bonfires and stealing. Those people, it's a disaster. People are scared. People don't go out on the street.
It's exactly as you're saying. There's no peace in Ceuta. Not that there was much before. But now, man, there are between 15 and 20,000 people out there. Some things are changing. Rosa tells me she's seen a change at Mercadona. Let's listen.
It's been a very, very long time since I bought green beans at Mercadona. Today, specifically, I found green beans with the designation of origin. Could it be because Juan Roy has chosen to support Spanish products after the invasion? If so, good for him.
Here we're saying that you have to look very carefully at the barcode of the products to avoid consuming products from Morocco. It's not really a boycott. If they invade us, the only thing left is for us to pay them too, right? The code of any food product to know if it comes from Morocco. The first three numbers are 611. And I hope Juan Roy does it because he has a lot. Blueberries, green beans, a lot of products from Morocco, as if we didn't have green beans or blueberries here, among other things. Well, there's more. Speaking of food, you send me what they do to chicken, right? You take a chicken before putting it up for sale, and they inject it with air like it's a car tire. It's true that we buy based on appearance, and when you see it all puffed up, so big, with everything, it's true. With so much meat, well, you take that chicken over another one, but it's air. You're paying for air, aren't you? Be careful with these tricks, because in the food world, they're constant and happen every day. And Javi asks a question that has to do with Morocco's invasion. Listen.
I would like to know who paid for all the phones and internet for all the immigrants who have come in over the fence, because that costs money. And when it's a different country, it costs even more. Who is the one paying for all this? That should be investigated. Because I don't believe it's the parents of these people who are paying for the phone line and the internet.
Of course, many of the things they had in their bags were very expensive iPhones. They weren't old cell phones from years ago. They were pretty new. In the newsroom, latest messages. Susana Gas, tell us.
We're still here with Albert in the Castellón Confidencial newsroom. We are receiving those messages and we read them every day. That's the case with Maria Jesus. She says that we are governed by people who do everything possible for other countries and then leave their own to burn or be invaded. And that they want those who own property to lose it. And those who are poor are made even poorer. They don't want the country to move forward. What they want is to sink us into misery. And all of this is done by just one government, Spain's. El Elbus says that, with Julito's statement currently, and blaming Zapatero as he is doing, they should impose pre-trial detention on Zapatero because of the risk of flight. He still has time to escape. Francisco also says that he's disgusted with getting up every morning, every day, to work and pay taxes as if there were no tomorrow. And then to see that with my hard work and with the hard work of many Spaniards, their money also goes to fill the pockets of this big clientelist network. It's not fair. Amparo says, how are we Spaniards going to get back on our feet? If these shameless people are stealing from us everywhere, so many things could be solved by doing things right in this country. Healthcare, education, housing, salaries, pensions. But no, everything is for them. Rafa also says, what does it matter if Zapatero is accused of 7 crimes or 700? He's not even going to go to jail. He's not even going to give us our money back. And the most curious thing is that judges nowadays don't even demand it either. Felipe, on the other hand, says who is going to pay with jail time for the terrorism against Spain. for what is happening to us. We Spaniards who have been made to suffer, and they are doing it constantly. Justice would be served if they all went to jail. And obviously, all the politicians should return to the Spanish people what they have stolen. But that's just a dream. Thank you for the program, and we'll leave it here. To Albert, always inviting everyone, wherever they are, to follow us on all our Castellón Confidencial channels. Thank you.
Thank you, Susana. And there's a message that has gone viral. And it's from a woman. It's very long, but I'll sum it up in a minute. She records a message to His Majesty the King. And she's very clear. You can understand everything she says.
Listen, this video is addressed to His Majesty. Majesty, I used to think that the army, the generals, and the high command joined the military out of vocation, because they love their country, you know? But what I see in you being the general of all the armies, is that you seem more relaxed, pichuco. When do you plan to go out and face the people? Or are you already packing your bags to leave? It's incredible that the king, whose job is to take care of his people, how come you don't have the guts you need to have as the general of all the armies and say, this ends here? Here, we don't want cowards. We want people who stand up, and you are in the military. And you have the obligation, because of what you swore, to defend your people and democracy. What the heck are you doing that you are not at the front? Why aren't you at the front? Are you waiting for the military to step in? And for there to be a coup in Spain? Or a civil war? Is that what you are waiting for? I hope you respond, because that's what you have to do. And if not, pack your bags and leave Spain, because we don't want a king who doesn't have the guts to face the problem in Spain. You are in the military. The military must defend the homeland and the flag of Spain, and so far you are not doing anything.
Spain has such good citizens if only they had a good king, right? The phrase isn't mine, you know?
9,159,304.91. Completely trustworthy.
Yes, friends, he's still at La Mareta, reading the newspaper by the pool, swimming in Lanzarote, and with Bolaños bringing him some canapés. Freud Lannister really portrays the tyrant's vacation well.
Can you believe it, Mortadelo? These international media outlets portray me as some kind of heartless despot who goes on vacation without caring if the country goes to hell.
What a ridiculous idea. They just don't know what to make up anymore, Sanchidad.
Hey, watch it. I have delicate feet for eyes.
Well, sorry, excuse my clumsiness.
Mr. Fancy Pants, I'll be more careful.
By the way, is there any matter I need to be informed about or make a decision on?
Well, everything remains the same. The Ministry of the Interior is unable to say how many illegal immigrants are left in Ceuta. Another invasion is brewing for the 15th. We've also had the worst unemployment figures for July since 2014. All right then. The Ministry of Interior and Ministry of Defense can't coordinate and keep blaming each other. Ridiculous. Our European partners don't trust us, and fire victims feel abandoned by the government.
I'm out.
And there is also an official in national security who, fulfilling her duty, warned that tens of thousands of people were entering through Ceuta.
What? What did you say? An honest official is completely unacceptable. How far are we going to go? I want you to fire that degenerate, disgusting traitor immediately. In this government, that kind of scam has no place.
Help, I can't swim.
Bolaños, you can't even swim. You're a disaster.
Please, Pedro, I'm composing the dance of the disqualifications. Could you yell at Mortadelo a little quieter?
Can you insult Mortadelo a little quieter? Well, you wonderful people, Freud Lannister is driving me crazy. Thank you, Maria Vicenta PR, for your donation to the show. Thank you very much, Diego MMR. And Yolanda HC. Thank you, because we still need this trench well oiled. Well, I've been sent a beautiful drawing from Caracas. Thank you, my friend, from Caracas. Goal! And there's Mohammed stuffing his face while the people of Morocco are starving under the table. That's exactly how many friends in Venezuela, Spain, and Morocco feel. And Sanchez and Zapatero imagine they're about to fall into an abyss, and Jesus reaches out his hand to them. This happens.
Let go of that bag with gold utensils. Give me your hand, and I'll save you from falling into the abyss. I can't, sir. This gold is sacred and very valuable. I'd rather die than lose it. Let go of that briefcase right now. Your life is worth much more than all that dirty money. I'll never let go of my fortune. I worked for years for this. Without my money, I am absolutely nothing. Sir, I'm sleeping. Help me, please, and hurry. I don't want to lose all my fortune. I'm sleeping. Let it go. I want to die and lose all my gold. Help!
And they go with their jewels, their gold, and their briefcases to hell, which is where they never should have left. Well, and Abraham Gomez has video from Ceuta. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because I want you to go to his YouTube channel and subscribe. Here's a preview.
How are you, friends from Lanzarote? Pedrini is already at La Mareta, and we're all so happy. We've been waiting for a year, but finally he's back, just like the Bible says. He always comes back, you know? I picture everyone waiting for him on the road, with pots, ready to throw them. It's fantastic. Go take a picture with him, though you can't since he's shy and won't come out. That won't happen. You can see his nose sticking out the window, so you can prop things up and hang the laundry there. So that's it. I wish you all the best. Stay there a little while, you know? 30 days, which sounds easy to say, because we, the riffraff, the right-wing riffraff, only get 8 days of vacation. 6 days actually, since we argue at airport check-in when leaving and the train isn't running on the way back. Still, we get 5 days, but you get 30, which is how it should be. We'll keep moving forward with you. Enjoy it a lot. And Pedri, all of Lanzarote is, well, crying. What I won't tell you is why, you know? We're here for you because you've come from God's will to guide us. You are a son of the journey. You're a son of the great road. And we keep going forward with you, waiting for the end to come because the road has been long. It's progressive, but it's long, you know? And when we get to the end, I can't even tell you, Pedri. That's when. Wait until September. Kisses.
Sanchez is a son of the great road. Abraham is right. Be sure to watch the whole video. This is just a summary. Friends, tomorrow is a holiday all over Spain, the day of the Assumption of the Virgin. And I think nothing is going to happen in Ceuta. It's just bluster organized by the Moroccan government to make it look like they weren't behind it the first time. Tricks, lies, we'll tell you about them here next Monday. Trinchera.
Y para gente despierta, desde la trinchera, las balas silban y no hay manera de salir allá afuera. Aquí la libertad tiene las alas de cera. Albert Castillo, Susana Gash, Tucci Castillo y demás. Muchas gracias. Con esto y un bizcocho, hasta mañana a las 8.
Castellón Confidential by Albert Castellón.